Hello and welcome. Thank you, all of you, for joining me today on the Daily Dose of Berry Goodness. I am your host, as always, the irate desperado, the haunted head. Prodigy to some and jabbing to all of you. This is hopefully a very regular program where I talk to you about film and, artistic news and that interested me, that made me get that fire in my heart and my stomach to talk to somebody about what I wanted, something that I read or saw, or specifically movies that I watch on my own that, the other berries maybe haven't seen yet that I want to bring to all of you so we can swap knowledge, share, get to know each other better, our tastes, and really, really build our community. Because I want to know you guys and I want to get out there. So let's do it. Remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so when these are released, you're the first person to know. Today, I wanted to start by talking about two of my favorite filmmakers right now, and in particular, one of them going off and making his directorial debut this past weekend with Seance, Simon Barret's Seance. Now, if you're familiar at all with Adam Wingard or Simon Barret's work, you know that they're two filmmakers and writers who love to subvert the expectations of their viewers by playing off of classical motifs, by putting people in scenarios that they're familiar with and then sort of flipping them on their heads. They do it with A Horrible Way to Die. I'm not sure if that was their first film together or if that was just a Wingard or a Barrett. I don't know, but A Horrible Way to Die, a great movie if you ask me. I really enjoyed it. Then you have You're Next, which was what catapulted them to stardom. It was a huge indie darling. And then we have The Guest, which is sort of their underappreciated gem, which is my favorite thing they've done together. Dan Stevens gives an incredible performance. Micah Monroe, you get fucking you have so many people in that movie. It's fantastic. The entire thing that they do, or not the entire thing, because they sprinkle just little details that throughout their filmmaking and throughout the production of their films that really helps them stand out as meta commentaries on the genre, as celebrations of the genre, and subversions of the genre. And here we have Simon Barret branching off on his own to do his first film without Wingard. And I'm excited to talk about it because there's a lot about it that I really enjoy that speaks to the genuine nature of Barrett's voice without Wingard. And then there's also things about it that I think, are true of someone's first film. I feel like that this movie sort of does feel like somebody's first film. And I don't think that's a bad thing. The basic premise of this movie is basically that these girls, they go to an all-girls boarding school, basically. They don't really, I forget if they give a distinct location, but it's winter, and there's a whole lore and legend. It's playing off of this sort of haunted sorority or haunted campus genre of films, where there's supposedly a legend about a woman who killed herself, a young girl who killed herself in the dorms. And if you, much like, what's her name, Bloody Mary, if you say her name in the mirror, then she's supposed to appear behind you, and it's supposed to be a whole situation. And so without giving away any spoilers to the film, because there are things about this film that could very easily be spoiled in a conversation, I will say that what Barrett is able to do, and what I think that Wingard and his collaborations have prepared him for exceptionally well with this effort, is that he's able to create a situation that feels ambiguous, and doesn't necessarily try too hard to sway the audience into believing one thing or another. What I loved about the film's expression was that a lot of the times when you're seeing a film, more of a modern film, or even something that doesn't have a lot of money, there's a lot of effort put into one aspect of the production. There is either a lot of great effects, and maybe the acting or the writing has fallen to the wayside, or maybe it doesn't particularly feel like someone's vision. It could feel like something that almost anyone could have made. But with this, what I really enjoyed was that Barrett's voice was very, very recognizable. And what I loved was that he created a space where all the things you believed could be true about the scenario could be true. And typically there's the movie will give itself up, at a certain point, and it'll allow you to very easily come up with an idea about what really happened. And typically you'd be correct. You know what I'm saying? More often than not, a lot of the time, if you think something is going to happen in a movie, and a movie's trying super hard to sway you in one direction or the other, it becomes very obvious that you're being manipulated. And what I liked about Barrett is that he was smart enough to let his photography, his sound design, and his actors play up the subtlety of the kind of trauma that the suicide of someone who's close to you can inflict on you and how that can warp your perception of reality. And then in subtle ways throughout the film, he's able to manipulate your perception of that emotional response in order to guide you towards the end of the film. I really loved it. I loved that. What I didn't particularly care for in this film, and what I think makes it feel the most like a first film, is sort of the generic aspects of the story that weren't capable of being excised by Barrett's burgeoning hands. And what I mean by that is that generally in a movie of this nature, and I don't like to speak in generalities, so go ahead and forget I just said generally. I'll say that my experience being the haunted head and watching so many horror films, it's really easy for me to discern where a horror film might be going or what might be the most likely outcome. I hate the idea that you as a viewer can really tell what's going to happen in a movie, because for the most part you have no idea. You know what I'm saying? If you're being led down if you're being led down a path that's being well written or well displayed or well expressed, you're not necessarily going to be able to tell where the movie's going to end up. And if you are, you're still going to be satisfied with that journey. And that's what I like about this movie. What I didn't like was that I kind of could tell at a certain point, what was happening, because the subversion in this film is one that I have seen before. It's a very intelligent way to tell the story. I enjoyed where we ended up, but it was fairly obvious a lot of the characters' motivations, who some of these characters were, and what they were about pretty much right out of the gate. There wasn't more to them beyond a sort of surface or second layer. You know what I'm saying? And what I didn't appreciate as well was that I know Barrett has made many horror films at this point. He's a fan of the genre. You have to be if you're involved in this way. What I didn't like, and what I knew could easily have been changed, were some of the scenarios that were led to character deaths in the film. There were some circumstances and situations that I felt like could have easily been written to be more engaging, to be more clever in the way that Barrett and Wingard typically are. And Barrett being, a writer, being the one who's been at the desk putting these films together with Wingard the whole time, I would have hoped that he might have been able to find a more interesting way to make some of these characters go out that didn't feel like I was watching a more traditional slasher or haunting movie. Because there are certain aspects of the film that aren't as well orchestrated. And in a movie where the character deaths, because there is such a small group of people, they should feel very impactful. They should feel very, almost like I'm losing something when I lose a character. And in this movie, it didn't feel like that. And in that way, I'm not sure that it was totally successful. I did appreciate the sort of the organic nature of certain elements, the romance element in the film. I really appreciated that. I do like the characters. I didn't expect to like all the characters the way I did, but I did enjoy the characters and the character work. And I think that Barrett was able to make a movie that felt like it was his. It was his voice. It's very subtle. It's very quiet. It's not necessarily a movie that goes too far, except for one moment at the end. And I'll say this: if characters are going to be in a fist fight, a lot of your personality can be wrapped up in how you express yourself in a physical confrontation. And when a character and another character seem like they're doing the same moves, it can kind of feel a little too movie. And in a movie like this, it's not necessarily going to take away from your ability to enjoy the film, but it just stood out to me. With that said, I think this is a very successful movie. I think this is it's a solid effort. I think if you're a fan of Wingard, Wingard and Barrett, you're going to enjoy this film. And I really look forward to seeing what Barrett does next, because this is a great springboard to make something more ambitious and more fully formed and more unique to Barrett. So, I'd give this film a okay. This is a good movie. Yeah, you should go check it out. It's on Amazon Prime. It's a lot of fun. It's a nice, breezy, I think, hour 40, which thank goodness for this. Making a movie less than 2.5 hours in 2021 is an extremely rare thing. So go support this man. Okay, help him make another one. Yeah, I liked it. That's about it on that movie. Let me know what you guys thought about Seance if you've seen it or if you watch it. I'd love to know.